Alright, now you've got this beautiful Asvine J16 pin, and after using it for a while, maybe the piston doesn't work so smoothly anymore. What are you going to do? Well, you can throw it out, buy a new one, or you can service it yourself. Now the good folks at Asvine are kind enough to give you a little wrench, but you may find this little wrench confusing because look at it. There's a hole there, and there's a hole there, and there's a hole there, and then there's little prongy bits there. So how do you use it? Good thing you've got your old buddy Hamish to guide you through it. Now I'm just going to put this aside for just a second. Let's look at this pen. What can you do with this pen? Well, you can do a lot of different things with this pen when it comes to maintenance. First of all, take the cap off. Look at that cap. What can you do with this cap? There was a little bit of talk online asking whether these are actually titanium, because that's how they're sold. Let me say this about that. How the hell would I know? It's just metal, isn't it? Okay. This finial, it comes off. You can unscrew it. Now, I'm going to give you fair warning. You need to have a lot of stamina because this takes a lot of screwing. See, there it is. Now, the reason that takes a lot of screwing for some people is that this threaded piece is actually a separate piece. Here is the clip. You can clean it or polish it, whatever you want to do with that clip. This threaded piece is loose and can slip into the cap, and then you have to try and get it back in again. So what I would do if I were you is I would just keep this cap pointed down with that finial end pointed down and the hole there just pointed up like that. Now if you're ready to reassemble this, take the clip with some care, thread that through, pull on that threaded bit a little bit, and then take that cap. By the way, that looks like solid metal there, doesn't it? Yeah. Now you start screwing here, and as always, you've got to go slow at first. And then once you have good purchase, you can increase the speed. That's how we do it in Scotland. Now, what about this pin? What else can you do? Well, mine has a Yovo nib on it. And you can just unscrew that, but what I would always recommend is don't unscrew the nib unit because you may misalign nib and feed. Unscrew the pen instead. So put that nib in the nook and cranny of this finger. Put your thumb on it solidly and then unscrew the pen. First time you do it may be a little tight, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Now you've got to be a little careful here, and I'll show you why. Here's a Yovo nib unit. But as you can see, right there is a little O-ring. You don't want that to come off and lose it. So we're going to keep that exactly where it is. Nib and feed are friction fit. If you really need to remove them, you should be able to, maybe with a piece of rubber. Right now, there's nothing wrong with his nib and feed. They're perfectly fine. I'm not going to fiddle with it too much. There's always the risk you misalign something when you put it back in, but theoretically they should slip out. Maybe wetten it a little bit for some lubrication, grab some rubbery material and pull it out. Should work. Another thing to be aware of, here's a part that you lose easily. See that? There's a little washer there. I bet you didn't see that coming, did you? Alright, so you make sure that's right there, nice and tightly packed in. That way you won't lose it. Now, clean this any way you like. It's easy. Take a little syringe, flush that out from there. Easy, fast cleaning. Now what about the pin? The section, leave it where it is. And by the way, again, that looks like solid metal on the inside, doesn't it? Here, let me turn off my mega lights. I'll take this little device I have, shine a bit of light in there. That looks like solid metal in there, doesn't it? Yeah, that's right, it does. Okay, end of story. Now, leave that as it is. Just got this end to worry about. So you can unscrew the piston. This is pretty new, so it's nice and smooth. But you can take that apart. Now what you do is you unscrew this end. Now you notice there's a flat end on that side. It's round on that side. There's another flat end on that side. And it's round on that side again. Now you take your wrench. This wrench maybe a little confusing to some people because there are 3 holes and these prongy bits. You might be tempted to say, well, the prongy bits must go in there somewhere, but they dinna. You take one of these 2 bits or that bit, whatever you please. Now this bit is too small, isn't it? It doesn't fit. So you have to use this bit or that bit. Choose any of these holes to use. Now I'm going to pick that hole because I kind of like that. Make sure the flat bits align with the hole. Slip that in. And now what I like to do is put my thumb on it and gently screw that shut. Now that wrench isn't going anywhere, is it? And you have to turn to the left. Now it falls out. Little bastard. Anyway, turn to the left. I'll put it up, that's probably more sensible, isn't it? And then you just rotate it, don't you? It's very simple. Until something pops a little bit. You slide that out. Now, this piston comes out. I wouldn't get it out. I would not take this out. There's no real point taking this out. Right now it's nicely aligned, and that means when I hold this, I can screw this tightly shut. Notice how perfectly that aligns. The farther you take it, the more out it comes, and at some point it's going to fall out, and then you have to figure out at how far to screw this back in to make sure everything aligns up when you put that black piece back in. It's difficult, just leave it where it is. If you really want to, you can put a little bit of silicone grease here and there to make sure that's lubricated, but it's a fairly loose fit. I don't think there's any real reason to. Likewise, if you keep screwing this finial, this turning knob, it'll fall off at some point. You can put silicone grease under there as well, but I really don't think it's necessary at this stage. Everything is very smooth. You can put some silicone grease on that piston, and it will very nicely be lubricated, and you can use it again very, very smoothly. I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to take that, I'm going to take the pin, I'm going to slip that in from behind. See, that was fairly smooth, but you could put some grease on it if you really want to. Take that wrench, screw that turning knob tightly back on there again, and then you twist to the right. Going the wrong way. I was going the wrong way. It's amateur night at Casa Hamish McNag. Now, keep screwing. Don't over tighten anything, there's no need to. Just make sure it's nice, tight. Hold the wrench, unscrew the piston turning knob, take the wrench off, screw that back in, take your nib, make sure you don't have any grease on your fingers. Hold that, slip on the pin, gently turn that. Here too, nib doesn't need to be over tightened, just finger tighten it, that's all that's required. Make sure nib and feed are nicely aligned. Looks pretty good to me. Maybe a little bit of a twist there. That looks fine. Everything looks pretty straight. Take the cap. If you really want to, you can take that metal threaded piece out and sort of bugger in a tissue there. Clean out the cap, but I mean, you don't really need to. Now in this case, notice what has happened. Asvine is there. Can you see that? And it says J16 there, and the clip is there. It's not an issue, is it? You unscrew that finial a little bit, gently rotate that clip. Bear in mind, titanium will develop these scratches. I think it's kind of charming. Screw that back in place, and you're done. Now, the final question that people ask me is, on this wrench, what are these little prongs for? I'll tell you what, if your hand is a little itchy like this, you can scratch it like that. And if you've got a wee dog, you can use this to gently pet it behind its ears, and it'll like that. That's what these prongs are for, because they serve no other purpose on this particular pen model. Alright, so another pen fully serviced. You may now sit back and enjoy yourself a nice big plate of haggis.